As I call upon their names, I would like to call Dr. Satish Kumar, President and Executive Director AEEE, as our moderator. Ms. Usha Subramaniam, Country President India, Grundfos Pumps India Private Limited. Shri Milind Devre, Secretary, Bureau of Energy Efficiency. And Dr. Richa Gautam, Director, CSR and Sustainability, Schneider Electric. I will now hand over the mic to Dr. Satish.
Thank you very much. And again, a very warm welcome to everybody, and especially to our panelists, Usha ji, Milind ji, Richa ji. Very warm welcome to all of you for joining me on this plenary panel discussion. I think as you heard that India's economic growth will require that our energy consumption is likely to increase by 2 to 2.5 times in the next 25 years. So the question for us is not, I think, how do we supply this energy, which is, of course, I think we will have to do, but how much energy we can avoid supplying as well. Because this is a point that sometimes is missed. And as all of us working in the space of energy efficiency, I talked about that every energy saved is like 3 to 4 energy sort of like saved on the supply side from fossil power, and 6 to 8, I think, units of energy from renewable energy power side. So this particular session, we are going to be looking more at energy efficiency, not just as a technical fix, but as a national resource, and one that shapes competitiveness, fiscal space, development outcomes as we move towards our Viksit Bharat goals. So with that preamble, let me jump into this. So Usha ji, you are a founding, Grundfos is a founding member of AEEE. So thank you very much for that. And also, I think for your leadership, which has really demonstrated, I think, industrial competitiveness and how energy efficiency has played a key role there. But also, I think in broader terms about resource circularity. And I think this is something that we all need to keep in mind, that efficiency ultimately is part of resource efficiency and cannot be just looked at in isolation. I also learned about, I think, Grundfos efforts in Gujarat and your passion for, I think, beekeeping and how that actually helps rejuvenate community. So that was fantastic to know about you. So again, welcome to this panel discussion.
Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to be here.
Okay. Milind ji, we go back more than 20 years. Even before I moved back to India, I have met you, I think, in Maharashtra. I think even I was working at Lawrence Berkeley National Lab. And it's so nice to see your leadership. And I think you are an absolute, I think, a hardcore supporter and champion for AEEE, the work that we do under your guidance, under the State Energy Efficiency Index and many other programs. I think we really acknowledge, I think, your leadership there. And I look forward to having your insights at this panel as well. Richa ji, great to have you on stage. You and I share a common thing. I have worked at Schneider Electric. You are continuing to work at Schneider Electric. And all of us know that Schneider Electric is a global powerhouse when it comes to energy efficiency and energy management. Schneider Electric is also a founding member of the Alliance for an Energy Efficient Economy. So it's great to have you, I think, on this dais. And I look forward to hearing your thoughts as well. Okay. So I think with that introduction, let me throw a quick question, and maybe all three of you can respond maybe in a very short form, like maybe 1 or 2 minutes, that when you hear the phrase energy efficiency as a national resource, what does it mean to you both like personally and to your organization, since you are carrying I think, the responsibility of your organization on your shoulder as well. So maybe I'll start with you, Shaji.
Thank you, Satish ji. I think when we talk energy efficiency as a national, resource, it's, many of you said in the introduction, we know that the energy demand in India is going to exceed 2.5 times. And if we tried to, just address it from the supply side, it means an enormous amount of resources, land, water, capability, etc. And we will still be in a catching up mode almost. So energy efficiency is an imperative. There's simply no way that we will be a developed nation by 2047, catering to the increased energy demand without energy efficiency front and center of that equation. So it's, to me, when I hear energy efficiency, it's in very layman's terms, but of course, what more can make more sense to the whole economic picture at large, but also from a societal point of view, because when we talk energy efficiency and when we save energy, you mentioned this about, every unit of energy saved is 2 to 3 times when we take everything, generation, distribution, losses, everything into account. That's how much we save. So in order to make sure that, that we are a developed nation by that period, the why and the what, I think, is super clear. What is really important is a discussion on the how and what can be specifically done from organizations, from policymakers across the board to really make it happen. Because we are in this very important stage of development where most of what will exist in 2047 as infrastructure, as development, that is yet to be built. So the opportunity to influence that is massive.
So thank you. I think the point that you are making, that India has both a moral obligation to, I think, develop our country in a sustainable way, and a responsibility as well, and an opportunity to do it, I think, in a resource efficient manner. So that's a very, very important point. Milanji, from your vantage point as sort of leading the energy efficiency at the national level, how do you see energy efficiency as a national resource?
Thank you, Satish ji. First of all, you all are aware that the Energy Conservation Act, now we are going to complete 25 years this year. So this is the 25th year of implementation of this Energy Conservation Act. And I think it is an appropriate moment after 25 years to sit back and ask very fundamental question, that rather than how should meet our future energy demand for 2047 or 2070, by only building more supply side, or by first reducing the demand, we need not to be required that. So that is the very fundamental question, and in that way, I think we need to be thinking. And energy efficiency is not only resource; it's the first fuel, I can say. So with this, the GDP growth, which is average, it's now to 7%. Our urbanization is increasing, industrialization is increasing, incomes are increasing, and even the economy electrification, particularly the transport, cooking, and industry, while it is creating a more demand for the energy, not only energy, even the power, it's almost double. So in this situation, I think energy efficiency have a very important role as a resource. As you know that some numbers you have been already discussed by DGB, and I think in your opening remark you talked about because of the interventions which are being implemented by Government of India, Bureau of Energy Efficiency and state governments, the impact to the various energy resources which we are being assessing every year for 2014 and 25, the energy efficiency interventions have delivered a significant outcome, which we discussed. Almost 65 million tons of oil equivalent has been saved, which is 6% of our total primary energy, and which is almost 2.8 lakh crore having a work. And the electricity in terms of BU, it is more than 340 billion unit. So see the quantum of the impact of energy efficiency to the entire economy. If you convert this, only the billion units which we have been saving through these interventions, it's equivalent to almost 50 to 55 gigawatt of firm power generation. That means how much we have avoided the capacity by just these interventions. And that capital cost for such a power generation is almost 3.5 lakh to 4 lakh crores. If it has been not a firm power, because we are now greening and we are being adding to more solar and wind and all hydro. So if you calculate the capital investment with this way, the avoided capacity generation is almost 150 gigawatt of solar by just energy efficiency, which is having capital investment of 8 lakh crore rupees. Some important numbers are there in the current budget. I think you may be aware that in the current budget, 26-27, the government has planned to spend on infrastructure almost 12 lakh crores. It's a significant amount of our budget. Why we want to have a large expenditure on infrastructure? Because we are growing and there is a need. So through energy efficiency, the numbers as I just told you in terms of avoided capacity generation and the infrastructure capital requirement in the future. But at the same time, if we neglect energy efficiency as not an energy resource, this capital infrastructure investment is going to be very higher. Another important point is that if we again not prioritize energy efficiency as a national resource, we will going to impact heavily on other social sectors like education and health. In the current budget, again, there is a very sad to say that here, the spending on health, which is very important, it's only 0.29% of the entire budget. Why we are decreasing the social sectors and we are spending more on infrastructure? Because we have to meet, but we have to balance it. If we need to balance it, then energy efficiency, I think in the current scenario, it is most important national resources. And it will not only important, it will also very easy to do it because it's speed and cost. It's a faster and cheaper rather than any new generation. It will also directly helping us for energy security because that much of imports is going to be down. And currently you well aware about the global prices and the global scenarios with respect to the energy and crude oil. So this is very important. Another is it's a fiscal space. Every unit which we are saved, it's equally makes a lot of free capital for manufacturing, infrastructure, health and education, as I'm saying. And another very important, that is the climate benefits. As Mr. Panigri was already talked about, due to this energy efficiency measures, last year we avoided the emissions of almost 365 million tons of CO2. So think about all these numbers, and these numbers are not only numbers, they are having significant values in terms of our future planning. And there is no any question, no doubt, energy efficiency is the need as a national resource at par with our generation, storage and fuels.
So, Milinji, I asked for a short answer, but because you had so many numbers, and I just want to pick up on three numbers, and I think all the people here should try to quote these numbers. I'm just repeating you. So one is 65 MTOE, I think in terms of energy savings that has happened in India. And as Mr. Panigrahi was also saying, B is not sure that they are capturing all the savings that is happening in the country. This is something that they are able to quantify and measure. Another way is 2.8 lakh crores. I think these numbers, in my opinion, should be flashed, I think, on the front pages of newspapers to make people aware that what kind of a role efficiency is playing. And the third one that you are also saying is that in renewable energy capacity terms, you are talking about 150 gigawatt. So we are showing 100 gigawatt of demand offset, and you are saying that we are already sort of like saving about 150 gigawatt of demand, and we can convert that into the sort of like capex reduction that will be needed. So this is absolutely fantastic, I think, in terms of why energy efficiency needs to be treated as a national resource. I cannot think of, I think, some of these numbers that better articulate these things. Richa ji, I am coming to you. And again, I think in terms of energy efficiency as a national resource, I know Schneider Electric is also seen as a thought leader, I think, in this space where it talks about many of these things. So what is your and Schneider Electric's thought when we think of energy efficiency as a national resource?
Thank you, Dr. Satish, for having me in this flagship event of AEEE. So as Schneider Electric, we are the energy technology company. We are at the cusp of, I would say, or catalyzing energy efficiency in whatever segments we operate. A product that we make and sell, a service that we make and sell, or even a software. The core premise is built around energy efficiency. So according to us, energy efficiency is the foundational metrics for any developed economy. And if we really take Viksit Bharat as a very strong ambition, this is the core thing that we need to factor into our ways of working. So from a national perspective, going to an industry perspective, going to buildings, even to users like electricians, or even to the grassroots level. So I see the applicability of energy efficiency in all the segments of the society. So this is our version of it.
Okay. Thank you, Richa ji. And I think the point that you are making, that it needs to be at the foundation of the nation building effort and the infrastructure that India is making. I think that's a very, very important piece. And this is something, whether I think we heard, whether we are talking about our industries, whether we are talking our built environment, whether we are talking about the digital infrastructure that the country has to invest in, it has to be at the front, right, and center. So thank you very much. I'll change tracks, and maybe I'll point some specific questions to each one of you. And maybe I'll start with you, Milinji. So you talked about, I think how energy efficiency is treated as a national resource and what B is trying to do. But I think keeping the Viksit Bharat 2047 as our sort of like goal post, what do you think B needs to do over the next sort of like 20-25 years, as opposed to, I think, what it has done over the last 25 years? You talked about the EC Act and the foundation of like B. So I think we are right at the center of like what has happened, and I think what we need to do. So again, I think what do you think that, how do you need to treat energy efficiency as a strategic national resource moving forward, so that it gets more mainstream? Because we definitely see, I think, your opportunities there.
Yeah, as you rightly said that we are at the mid. It's 25 years already passed, and we have a lot of learnings, a lot of success, a lot of failures also. Some of the successes we will discuss first, and then we will see that how we can scale these successes in the future. So the first success, I think, that is a perform, achieve and trade program, which is, I think, first of its kind program, which we implemented for industrial energy efficiency. And we have reached more than 1,400 designated consumers from 13 energy intensive sectors, which will help us to reduce more than 27 million tons of oil equivalent. And environmental impact is almost 115 million tons of CO2 avoided. So what we learn from that one now has to be scale up to further more sectors, and the transition which we are planning, that is from PAT to CCTS. And we have already started these activities. Our goal has to be not only limited to the energy efficiency, but it will also include clean energy and decarbonization. So you may be aware that the Act was amended in 2022. After that, the role of Bureau of Energy Efficiency is now changed. It's not only energy efficiency, it is the energy transition also. So now the focus has to be in the next 25 years, has to be more towards energy transition, which is where the first pillar will be energy efficiency and then the clean energy. So in that line, I think I can say that our future should be more towards the decarbonization, also for clean energy formats, with the base or bottom line will be energy efficiency. So we are trying to include more sectors into the CCTS. It will be a more market-oriented program. And similarly, in appliances, as we have done a very great work under standard and labeling program, which we started in 2006. Now we reached to more than 41 appliances covered under this single program, where 18 are under mandatory. The scale of the program is that we have more than 30,000 models and 4,000 brands registered. But now, means we are ensuring that every future appliance is sold in more energy efficient than the last. That our DG has already talked about, we are ratcheting up the efficiency norms. But apart from that, I think in the future, there is a need that our appliances should be smart enough to see that how can we also help us into managing the peak demands and also help us managing the utility side programs. So our appliances, not only energy efficient, they should be smart and future ready appliances are required. So we may think some kind of regulations or interventions, particularly in terms of standard and labeling program in future, in the next 25 years time, that should be our drive. Our force has to be both in that label. Another is the MSMEs, which are being, till now, we are being treated and help them through a lot of handholding activities. We are still providing some schemes and incentives through which they can go for energy efficiency, because they are our backbone for our economy, and we need to make them more efficient. And there is also need. Currently, the EU trade FTA has been signed, where there is a need for our MSMEs to be more efficient and also cleaner energy perspective, because the CBAM is there. So we need to be handhold to them. So these are one is appliances. Industry, we are large industries, we will definitely go with the CCTS. For MSMEs, we need a lot of handholding for energy transition and the decarbonization activities. And we have already started the scheme like Aditi, but in future, we need a more focus on that one. So these are the 3-4 things which I think it will be very important. Apart from that, the roles of the states. The role of state has to be increased now, because till now, Bureau is providing advisory, guideline, and some kind of technical support. But now the time has come. The states needs to be having a more active, more strengthened, and their role, their accountability in terms of energy efficiency has to be fixed larger way, and they should be supported through various regulatory framework as well as the financial support. So these are the 3-4 areas I think.
So very quick follow-up. Amongst the 3 or 4 things that you mentioned, if I have to say, pick one thing that is going to perhaps create the maximum impact over the next 20-25 years, which is your personal favorite or like the personal sort of a program that you believe has the maximum potential?
if you ask me as in personal, but I cannot classify them in a different ways, because not a single one is so important. Every aspect is important. Appliances is also equally important. Industry energy efficiency is equally important. At the same time, the MSMEs and the state leadership is also equally important if we have to achieve the 2047 target as well as 2070 target of the net zero. So I don't prioritize it, but these all should be go in hand. Then and then I think we can do it.
I'm going to push you a little bit more on one more thing. I think when we look at the 65 MTOE number, the two programs that are contributing significantly are the appliance standards and labeling and the PAT program. What needs to be done to realize and sort of like get the building sector and sort of like the other sectors to start contributing much more significantly to this national impact that we is kind of quantifying?
Yeah, definitely building is very important one. And even in case of transport also, we are doing a lot of activities. But in case of building, again, the role of states are more important rather than a center. Here, what we learn in the last 15 to 20 years, the first draft of energy conservation building code, and still there are some few states are still in the process to adopt that code. So what we learn that the implementation at the state level is a very challenge. There we need a lot of push, a lot of support if we want to have a success into the building program. In case of appliances in the building which are being used, that we are already targeting. But the building design, building orientation, that definitely needs a lot of strong framework and the support of the state governments so that this can be run and have a good success. In case of transport, again, we have this is not being asked by you, but I'm just telling, transport, we have a multiple approach. Through CAFE, we are definitely doing a good. But at the same time, we need to also see that how can we shift towards more EVs. And the role of BUE here, again, it's very limited, but whatever the role we have been given, we have been trying to satisfy that.
Thank you. Usha, let me come to you. So sometimes I think we have the habit of talking about energy in isolation. And I think we heard that I think in an interdependent economy, it's not possible to actually talk about these things in isolation. So from your sort of experience, and Grundfos being like a global leader in the field of like water conservation, efficiency, and industrial systems, do you think we are underestimating the opportunity to link energy efficiency with the broader resource efficiency?
I can give you a very short answer, Dr. Satish. Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
Because if we just zoom into the hidden potential of energy efficiency in the water space, let's start with looking at, we all know that the agriculture sector in India is the largest sort of consumer of water, and even with the advent of solar pumps, etc., it is one of the huge largest consumers of energy in that sense, anywhere between 60 to 80% of water. What I think makes this hidden area of water energy, looking at water and energy together in a country like India, is because there is a huge water stress anyway, and then we are talking about an exploding energy demand. So this possibility that it offers is tremendous. Because when we look at our water networks, our water systems, municipal system, etc., they are all legacy systems which are far from being efficient. So even if we were to just imagine the length and breadth of the country and say, even if there was a 1% efficiency improvement in the pumps that are running to move water across, we are talking about hundreds of gigawatt hour of energy saving. Then if we look at data center cooling, it's the in thing. It's expected to rise by about the demand is expected to be anywhere between 7x to 8x by 2047. And it's impossible to look at it from a supply side alone, this kind of massive demand. And here is where the opportunity to look at it, to take it from a component level efficiency to a system efficiency really opens it up. Because when we talk about, of course, efficient pumps, but when we layer it with controls, and then when we layer it with hydraulic efficiency, when we layer it with thermal, system design, we are quadrupling the possibility of how much energy savings that can bring. And this is the thinking that needs to come in. And this is sort of a first level, because it's not just one part. If we improve the efficiency today, of course, we can improve efficiency of pumps significantly. But the real benefit comes when we elevate it to a system efficiency. And then if we look at industries, of course, we have a range of industries from water intensive to not so water intensive. Thermal power plants, highest freshwater withdrawal plants, and in the entire industry spectrum, also using a lot of water. And within the industry ecosystem, and motors and motor enabled operations, they are anywhere contributing to 60 to 70% of energy costs in a manufacturing setup. So again, there the opportunity to optimize that alone is tremendous, together with all the cooling, heating, and water transfer, simple water transfer application. So we are talking really massive hidden opportunity, and especially in the MSME sector, which is like Militji also mentioned, the growth driver towards our manufacturing contribution to GDP and our ambitions for Viksit Bharat. The way we think about designing systems, entire systems in the manufacturing space, that will offer us a tremendous advantage. And now, of course, this is just with existing setup. We can, of course, take it one level higher and then say, how do we take decisions on, where do we place, for example, data centers? Do we look at the water footprint? Do we look at the sources of energy, and do we look at because they require a tremendous amount of energy to cool, etc. So systemic thinking is definitely a vital component of if we are to say that, if we are to move towards a situation where the cleanest and the greenest unit of energy is the unit that is not used, then, of course, a system thinking is vital.
So, Ushaji, I think some very, very interesting. I think first principles-based approach, I think in terms of the entire sort of like any water energy system, the system level thinking that you are talking about. And also, I think, how do you sort of apply these things for, I think, the infrastructure that is going to get built in future. So one quick follow-up question. What do you think as the biggest barrier or the biggest enabler for this system level efficiency?
I think it is a mindset. Mindset is a huge part of it, because I think we have always been trained, through the muscle of looking at capex investment is still very high, and to change that into a life cycle thinking that requires, I'm talking at scale, of course, not as individuals, but as a national capability, if I can call it that, or as a societal capability. And this is where, of course, regulatory approach matters so much, because when you install, and I will go back to the pump example because that is easiest for me to do. When you install a digitally controlled, enabled pump, it of course optimizes energy in the water application that you do, but it also is expanding on the possibility that the need for replacement is getting prolonged more and more. So the more efficient the system is, it doesn't just have an immediate benefit, it has a medium term and a longer term benefit, because you are not then, replacing it so quickly compared to a unsmart pump, let's say. So, but this way of thinking about it in terms of life cycle costs, in terms of, how do we set up mechanisms that actually both promote and reward this kind of thinking, that I think is both a barrier but also a huge enabler if we work towards that.
Okay. So, Richa, we heard, I think, both Milinji and Ushaji talk about data centers. Schneider Electric is a powerhouse, I think, in data center solutions. And I was just following this news item that Elon Musk has decided to combine SpaceX and XAI into one company. And there are a lot of questions that are getting asked, that what's happening, what is the link between these two? And one of the things that many people are saying is that very soon data centers will be built in space. And SpaceX is probably the best or I think, most advanced, I think, in terms of pulling this off. And you can see that the power can be through solar, and cooling is probably not needed, because I think it's very, very cold space. So a lot of, I think, energy related issues that plague data centers, or that are sort of like at the top of the mind of all these new data centers that are being built. So I think so this is on one side. And then Schneider Electric also talks about electrification and automation and digitalization. So, and you being sort of like at the intersection of what business needs to do and what the company needs to do in terms of, I think, its environmental responsibility. So can you give us, I think, some insights whether Schneider is, I think, thinking about, I think, some of these infrastructure, I think, how, I think, they can be built in the future, and how you are going to balance some of these things out as you look towards the requirement of the business, as well as the environmental carrying capacity of this planet?
Sure, that's a very powerful question. So let me try and answer it in the best ways possible. So here I want to build a narrative on a personal anecdote. I've spent 10 years as a professional journey in a power generating company. And when I was looking at the energy efficiency aspect there, the margins for improvement, the technology for improvement were very slim or very small at that point of time, because as a business, they wanted to grow. The energy demand is always increasing. We now know that the energy demand is going to be around 700 gigawatt by, say, 2047. And for that, we have to quadruple our installed power generation capacity to meet that kind of a demand. So for a power generating company, adding more and more capacity was growth. Not much worrying about the efficiency part, because all they have to maintain is the plant load factors. And as a complementary exercise, the demand side management programs to become an evangelist for energy conservation for different kind of commercial, industrial, residential customers, that was something the major key player for energy efficiency was. So this was 10 years. And then when I switched to Schneider Electric from a power generation, transmission, distribution, trading company to a electrical company where energy efficiency is the way of life, I've seen a complete switch that ways. And this exactly is, as you rightly said, we are at the cusp or the intersection of how energy is being used, because we clearly believe that energy efficiency is the best vector for decarbonization. Everybody talks about net zero. The country has a target of net zero by 2070. But what is going to play a major role? It's the clear equation from Schneider which says that when we combine electrification to digital technologies, which is powered by Internet of Things, automation, AI for that matter, that is equivalent to sustainable electric world. And this is how we are going to build smart and energy efficient homes, buildings, industries, and ultimately achieve the net zero goals. So this is our way of life where energy efficiency becomes a core premise in exactly what we do. So this was a switch. I thought I'll just bring it to the focus of the participants. On the AI piece that you
We
asked.
need more people like you. Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah.
On the AI piece, there are two theories. One theory A says that AI, while it is good, it is going to be the biggest energy guzzler once it's fully implemented. And there's a premise which I just shared, being the AI, I would say advocate. We have done some major acquisitions or partnerships very recently, and we have a big business in US on data centers. We really think that AI is going to make the dent on how energy is being used, and is going to save the energy instead of being an energy guzzler. So maybe the turnaround time or the break even may take a little while, which I'm yet to calculate on the US data that I have, but there will be a break even where energy will be saved because of the AI interventions and the different technologies, and not the other ways that is being perceived these days. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So just a quick question. I think I know that in order to create this new digital and electrified world, we talk about capacity building, and Schneider Electric also spends a lot. So a quick, maybe like a minute take on how do you see the skill development or capacity building as a key component or as a big gap, I think, in terms of realizing this ambition?
That's my favorite. So industries, buildings, MSMEs, SMEs, everybody is taken care of for that way because of some policies, which of course we is spearheading, and different other initiatives are happening. But what about the unorganized sector? When there is a power failure or any breakdown at your home, an electrician comes into our homes and then tries to give a fix for that. And this person, if he becomes an advocate of energy efficiency and helps you to choose a product which is energy efficient, that is the way we are trying to make electrician segment aware of what energy efficiency is, because some of the choices that we make in day-to-day life are coming from these electricians, but there are no set programs right now on electricians. So every year, around 50,000 youth, we are training or skilling them to become electricians, trained, skilled electricians. And we are also giving them certification from NSDC, National Skill Development Council of India, and the Power Skill Sector Council, and even the Electronic Skill Sector Council as per the need. And these youth are the evangelists who are in their own ways, in their own ecosystem, are talking about energy efficiency and making users make the smart choices in their day-to-day life. So skilling electricians is something that we are reaching at the last mile, and this is helping spread the message on energy efficiency.
These are the new class of influencers, if we can speak, right? And I know that for B Star and Star Labeling Program also, there is this thing that the salesperson is the biggest influencer, I think, in terms of which appliance a consumer finally chooses to buy. So I think it's very important to invest in this, huh? Plumbers, yeah, plumbers actually similarly. So, so very final, I think I am being asked. So one final question, again, like maybe if you can limit it to 30 seconds to 60 seconds, that looking ahead at the Viksit Bharat 2047, what is one action or mindset shift, I think, that we are talking about? India must lock in, I think, over the next 5 years to ensure that energy efficiency truly powers our development story. So I'll start with you, Richa, and then I think Milind, and then final word by Usha.
I think it's very well established from the start of the event today that it is the way of life. It's of thinking energy efficiency as the foundational, as the first fuel to for a developed economy and as a resource as such. So it is something which is non-negotiable, and we might have taken a little more years to digest that, but at every intersection of the society, till the last mile, I think it goes without saying that if we aspire to become a developed nation, this has to be mainstream at all costs.
Okay, thank you. Milanji?
Yeah, it's a very important question actually. What we need to be think for the next 5 years. So, in my opinion, I think the numbers are already there, but it has to be formally recognized. And if I think as a policy instrument, I think energy efficiency should be treated as a first resource in the power planning. It has to be there. And another is that the whatever the efficiency targets, energy transition targets should be there in the state, and sectoral accountability has to be there. Then I think we can will be have a good results in the future. And energy efficiency should also consider as a measurable contributor to the GDP competitiveness, which is still not being considered. We have the numbers, but still at the top level at the Ministry of Finance, it has to be considered as one of the important measurable contributor. Then I think the priority will be given for energy efficiency in all state and all institutions will work.
Okay. Thank you very much. Ushaji?
I know your question was 5 years, but I also think this coming decade is absolutely critical in terms of the energy transition, dialogue and rhetoric and everything that happens in this space. What will happen in the next 10 years, because a lot of build-up will happen, a lot of things will happen. So we don't need to wait to get closer to 2047. It's really the coming decade that will be defining for India, I think. And I completely agree from a policy point of view, energy efficiency has to be, has to occupy a much more prime spot than it is today. And then, of course, the whole reward and recognition elements will follow. But I think what is also needed is, in order to influence the mindset, which is actually the biggest hurdle or the biggest gap that we need to overcome and straddle, it is really about communicating well what are the different direct, but more importantly, indirect benefits of focusing on energy efficiency. That's needed.
Okay, what I'm hearing is that in the planning, I think we call it merit order or loading order. I think efficiency needs to be at the forefront. So that way our entire sort of energy sector planning can start to take that into account, and which is something that some other countries actually do. So this is a very important point. And then the second piece that I am also hearing, that there should be a way to measure whether our GDP efficiency or infrastructure efficiency through a metric which starts to recognize the important role that efficiency plays. So, so both, I think, in terms of like before everything happens and then after, I think this thing has been done, whether it's in the form of specific energy consumption or whatever. So I think this is a very, very good note to sort of like, are we ending the session, or can we take like a couple of questions? So, okay, I'm being told that we are running behind a little bit. So I think you can talk to, I think, some of the speakers during the, I think, the break session. But let's put our hands together for our three panelists and their wonderful views.
Yeah. Thank you to all our panelists for this deeply insightful discussion. May I request the panel to come in front of the stage for a quick photograph? Thank you.